All right, so we've got Cailean Bailey here with us today on the Talent Loop, powered by Sync to Hire. Make sure you guys check them out. Cailean, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. It's been a while. Good to reconnect with you.
It has been a while. It has, man. We're going to have a good conversation because we're going to talk about crafting the hiring manager experience. And you just told me you're publishing today. Today you're publishing, right? The article?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So first off, let's talk about that. Let's give that article some airtime because we'll link to it somewhere in the notes. And then we're going to jump into a couple questions here. Crafting the hiring manager experience. Give me the breakdown. What's the article?
The whole idea of this comes from like, as a recruiter, and for me, I'm an in-house recruiter representing one company, wearing one jersey, is framing like, who is our customer? Our internal customer, or if you're in like the product world, you refer to internal, external stakeholders. Right. Our customers are our hiring teams and our candidates. And in a lot of ways, like my W-2 says, Radix, where I work currently, they are customer one. A candidate is customer 1A, is how I've always defined that. You want both to have an awesome experience, but in my context, I'm a small team, part of a small people ops team in a company that has big, lofty goals. And so every hire matters, every mishire matters, but in a sub 100 person company where you're trying to build and ship products, we've got competitors on our heels, things like that. I want to make sure that our hiring teams are laser focused on exactly what we need that goes beyond just, I know this person, I like this person, or leaning more towards the behavioral side, even though that's important. We're at a phase now where we're post-funding. It's a really critical inflection point in our product journey and our people journey, and our people can really be a massive accelerant. And so if we're not laser focused on who's focusing on what area, then we're going to potentially miss. The other thing that I have to remind myself is, as a recruiting leader, this is all that I do. And this is only a fraction of what a hiring manager or hiring team does. Fraction. Even though it seems like it is everything to everybody. These people are building products. They're running finance teams. They're running CS. So my goal is to make this as easy as possible for our hiring teams and maximize the efficiency of the hiring loop.
Yeah, I've always related the hiring manager question back to your problem's not my problem. Right. And I say that to my kids a lot. I probably shouldn't say that to my kids a lot. They'll probably hate me for that. But I'm like, yeah, your emergency, not my emergency. And that's the hiring manager, right? I mean, it's like, it's your recs are urgent. Yes. But on your side as the recruiter, you have a different set of goals and things that you're doing. The hiring manager has 87 other things of which they do need your hire. However, there are other things. So let me ask you this then, and we'll link down in the notes for anyone who's listening or watching for the article, because I haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good one. Where are companies creating friction today in the hiring process without them actually realizing they're causing that friction?
One of the first pain points that I've noticed is duplicate questions, going based on your feelings, which we can't discount feelings, but I forgot what book it was called, but I remember the phrase, if you make hiring decisions with your gut, you're going to have a stomach ache. Now, a lot of us have good intuition, and it's not usually wrong, but what we're actually trying to solve is like, what technical problem is this individual going to solve that's going to help us get to X goal? So a lot of it is, when you go based on feel, what happens is you're entirely indexing on, not entirely, but you could mostly be indexing on behavioral competencies. And I don't want to discount those, because curiosity, adaptability, flexibility, especially in my environment, which is much more startup feel, are definitely valid. But where we're at as a company is we're beyond the hire your buddies, hire your roommates from college, hire your friend that does marketing. Right. We're in a place where, using a marketing rec that we have open now, it's very specific to content and product marketing, which is the first of its kind. So when you're hiring somebody that's in more of like a founding type role, what that means is you do want them to be hyper curious and inquisitive and all of these great behavioral things. But we have to validate that they can, and will do what we need them to do. So what I've tried to do is create a very specific interview loop and almost prescribe, but still give creative control to hiring teams and say, hey, if it's a collaborative interview or like working with a peer or somebody that you're going to collaborate with frequently, this is your focus area. And this is what I am going to ask you and hold you accountable to in the debrief. Because that's a different lens than the hiring manager themselves. Like the hiring manager obviously wants to look at other things functionally about the candidate's experience. Whereas the collaborators want to make sure that they can interact with the product team if they're working on a product marketing initiative. And then there's the executive level too of like what focus areas is the executive going to have. So I've gone as far as like creating these one pagers for each stage of the hiring loop. And I link it all in our ATS, so it's all there. But I'm basically plating this for them. I'm setting some example questions, but I've always felt like a recruiter, we can't and don't know everything. So we can provide some focus areas, but the domain expert needs to be the one that really does create those specific questions, because in their brain is always going to be a lot more than I have. And I'm recruiting across the strata of positions where they're recruiting and hiring for like one specific type of domain typically. So as a byproduct of that, you do get a good candidate experience because they're talking to lots of different people. They're being asked lots of different, hopefully thought-provoking questions and creative questions that signal to the candidate that this is a well thought out process, which means that they have their reticle on some really specific things that I can speak to. Or if the candidate doesn't speak to those things, then I, as a recruiter, have the ability to give them feedback that can. So they do work really closely together, but at the end of the day, like I want to make sure that our hiring teams come into that final debrief and make a decision based on a very clear, structured rubric where everybody knows the lane that they're swimming in.
Yeah, let's go back real quick to hiring with your gut, because I think that's important. I say this with all the love in the world to the recruiters. I used to be a recruiter and I used to think this way. We know it all, right? We're the recruiter. We know, like, hey, we're the gate into the company. We know the deal. We know what we need in the company, and I don't believe that's true. At the time, I probably did. I probably thought like, no, I know the best, and I can't help but think when I was a young recruiter, how many bad decisions I thought were great that hurt the company. And so my question to you is, how do we prevent a recruiter from what is too much gut, right? What is too much gut feel? How do we prevent the recruiter from overstepping the bounds but giving them the autonomy to actually be creative and make decisions in the hiring process? Or do we take that all away?
My recruiting life changed when somebody said to me, you don't have to know everything. You just have to know the right questions to ask. And I can't originate all of the questions I want to ask just based on somebody throwing a job description through Teams at me.
Yeah.
So my responsibility is a lot of fact finding, a lot of pestering sometimes. Like if I know what I'm looking for, ultimately what I'm going to do is protect that hiring team's time, which if I'm protecting their time, it keeps the developers in the code base. It keeps the finance people doing their thing. And I'm saying, I don't want to ship 7 candidates through to you. I want to ship 3 or 2 that I know are going to be really good to compare against each other. The only way to do that is through like a really thorough intake. Nowadays, you can even connect any sort of system, AI system or an LLM, to actually summarize that debrief and then connect that into your whole ecosystem. So I don't want to sound like the gut isn't valuable, because very rarely do we say like, I just know and we're wrong. A handful of times in my career it's happened, and you can get blinded by your gut,
Sure.
papering over some things that are critical to the role. I always look for combine the gut with evidence-based or experience-based answers. I have done this here, which means that I can or potentially do this for you there.
Right.
We have to also remember, like, the recruiting team we don't make hiring decisions. We basically make recommendations for the next stage, meaning talk to the hiring manager next, talk to the team next. At the end, that could be, I recommend and support an offer for this candidate. But the goal for me is every time I get somebody through a next stage is an opportunity for me to look at feedback as a new set of inputs that helps the next group, which then layers on top of the gut. So you don't get to the end and you're like, hey, everybody feeling good about this?
Yeah.
Can anybody say why?
Yeah.
Well, for me, like, if I met another person that was like a college soccer player, I'd be like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I played soccer in college too. Like, we can talk soccer. Well, can this person write content that's going to help grow,
Right.
or talk about this product launch? Like,
Right.
I have to remind myself of that.
Well, who knows? But they can score 4 goals a game, so they're good.
And we can talk about it at the water cooler. Yeah. That's valuable, but like, this is going to be like a single person running this function here. So, you layer those things on top of a gut. I think then you package it up and it's like, okay, everyone's gut feels right. We validated it through experience-based answer, evidence-based answer, data points. And we've also like iterated through the interview loop to get to a point where we know that these boxes have been checked. And we're excited about what they can do.